What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hope This Is Helpful podcast, where we give you guys our inter-able perspective on just about anything and nothing. I am your host, Tierra Harris, joined by my husband and co-host, Mr. Leon Harris. We're going to start our podcast off with an intimacy card. We use these skin deep cards, and we like to just answer one question together to kind of get this ball rolling. Oh, that one's a little too deep. What do you think is my greatest accomplishment that I failed to recognize?
I guess it's hard now because I feel like you're leaning into celebrating the big and little wins. So probably would have said the 15 years you worked when you stopped working. But I think you do celebrate that. It's the big accomplishment because you always wanted to stop working. Maybe parenting.
That's a good answer.
I think parenting. The problem is it's an ongoing cycle, so it's hard.
Yeah,
But I think parenting.
I think her first birthday was celebratory in the fact that we survived that first year. And I remember feeling like, even though the party was not really like an adult party, it was still very much geared towards her being one. But just that feeling of like, of a sense of accomplishment that we survived that first year. Because, you know, waking up every 3 hours consistently is hard. And then I went back to work and was getting off. So when she hit that 5-hour stretch of like sleeping, I was still at work.
Yeah.
So I like your answer. What is something that I think is an accomplishment that you have that you don't celebrate enough? Was that the question?
Something like that, yes. Greatest accomplishment, I think.
I don't want to sound like one of those people that we don't like, or that you don't like. I won't say that, because what I will say is I think that you are an amazing husband and an amazing father, and I don't take for granted that how you do things have to be done differently, and you don't use them as an excuse not to show up and not to be the best version of yourself. And so I think that that is a great accomplishment, because there are times where I think that it could be very easy to say, this is too much, I need a break. I think you pivot really well, and you make things work. You make things happen. And I would like to see you celebrate who you are as a husband and who you are as a father more.
I mean, maybe I will after therapy. I think the problem is it sucks that I have to do it. So I think that for me overrides
that you're doing
that I'm doing it, because I would do it if I could walk. Like, it's something I would do, but it sucks that I have to find a way to do it all the time.
Yeah. So what is probably easier to others? Mm-hmm. You see all the extra work that you have to do versus just being able to just see that you are doing it.
Yeah. And to that, like, that makes me, and I need to not worry about others, like we tell our daughter, but there's dads out there capable of doing it, and they just not. Like, there's kids that don't have their dad present in it, like, for no reason. It's not like the dad is working hard or busy. It's just they don't want to be there. So I feel like that part annoys me as well.
Yeah, I think not only have you...
Like, it's easy for me to be a deadbeat if I wanted to be. Really, not even funny. Like, I could easily just say, "Oh, I'm hurting. Oh, this hurt. Oh, my chair." Like, I could easily sit. My chair broke. I got a flat tire. I'm sitting on half a cushion. Still doing whatever I need to do.
Yeah. Dang, I forgot what I was gonna say. It was something about because there's certain aspects of it that, you had to adjust to being. I mean, I wouldn't say being a husband was, I don't know if it was a huge adjustment for you or not in terms of like your disability, but parenting, you were a stay-at-home dad. And so that, I'm sure, was a huge adjustment to have to, not only were you becoming a parent, but then like, I am in charge of this person by myself for all of these hours. and I got to figure out how I'm going to make all of this work. But like I said, you pivot. I fell out of my chair once, didn't know how I was going to feed her. That turned into, I'm going to keep a cooler bag with her milk in it, so that if it ever happens again, she's always going to be fed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
it still sucks.
I lost where I was going.
No, I get it. Like, I moved, but it's just, yeah, like, I get it. I appreciate it, but like right now, it just hurts. Like, damn, I gotta figure so much stuff out. I gotta consider, like, that's why I'm tired all the time. I have to consider so many things.
Yeah.
I have to consider so many different things at one time.
I believe you.
I think I block out the hard stuff. It's just easier to try to block out the hard stuff because it just keeps.
You also, that's what I was going to say. Even when you're working, you don't let that be a reason to not show up. And that could be unfair to you. Because I do think that you are allowed to say, like, I am working and that's all I want to do right now is to focus on work, because working from home is a newer thing in general. And then especially for our household. So I'm always trying to make sure I'm allowing you to have that space to say, like, I am on the clock and I am working, because if you were to go into the office, there are things I can't lean on you for, but you still show up where you're still present for her science experiments and bedtime routine and dinner. And even
I'm not there for all of it at the same time.
No, but I mean, I think not every day, but close to every day, you kind of plan your break around her. Not just you taking a break from what is work and what is stressful about work. You are taking those breaks to say, I'm going to show up for my family during this time. And so that's why I feel like you should celebrate who you are as a husband and who you are as a father. Because I appreciate you and I love you.
Love you too.
All right, let's move on to stories about our daughter. This is the point of the podcast where we both share a story about Noelle, whether it's good or bad. It's just kind of something that we would like to share with you guys, because this part of our brand does not include her. She's not on the podcast. So if you found us this way, you won't know her personality. Honestly, like, even if you watch us on YouTube on our vlogs, which you should, at Harris Hope and Humor on YouTube, she's never been forced to do anything. So when she shows up, she shows up, and when she doesn't, she doesn't.
We ask her too, like, do you want to be in this? She'll say no. I'm like, all right. Like, we know, yeah, we're not that.
But my story is that she's actually getting into YouTube and into TikTok. So I don't know if she can fully grasp the understanding that sharing who she is on TikTok and on YouTube, like, if she really understands, like, how many people it potentially could reach, that is going to be content that is there forever. She may not get that at 5. And so, like, sometimes I do mentally wrestle with her understanding that. But I'm also kind of excited that she wants to do it and she's kind of leaning into it. And so, like, I kind of want to embrace it, because I do also see it as a way to create content, videos, that will be memorable for her. Yeah. For the future, hopefully for the future, like, meaning she can look back on these things as a teenager and as an adult, and if she becomes a parent and we become grandparents, meaning that the hope is that we have lots and lots of years together. Yes. But then if we don't, it's something that we'll have to hold on to. The memories will be there. It's being in the moment and also recording the moment. And so I'm excited that she started watching more YouTubers. So now she's, like, getting it a little bit, and it's really, really cute.
My story is kind of, again, evolving. She loves gymnastics. She is in gymnastics, but she, like, practices it like she practices it, like, unintentionally. Yeah. She does cartwheels all day long. She does flips. She has a gym that hangs down from the door. Much stuff that I would be afraid for her to do, just, again, because I'm paralyzed, like, your neck. But she knows how to flip around upside down. It's just, yeah. I think it's amazing to see her find something that she likes and just do it. Like, she just does it, and she loves the gymnastics she's in. I always get worried because, like, I gotta work hard to see if she can practice it more, get to Olympic, like whatever she want to do. She want to compete. So it's just like, all right, that means I gotta take her to practice all the time. Like I don't even take her right now. So
yeah,
that definitely is in the back of my mind that I think that's kind of where our future is headed if she continues to love it so much. But I feel like we just encourage her to just pick her own thing. I showed her video games. Now she's addicted to video games. We have to kind of like curb her back.
Well, she only really likes Lego City.
Yeah. So we just encourage her to do her thing, and I kind of like seeing it blossom what it becomes. Yeah,
I'm always curious of like how do you know if your kid really loves something? Like because sometimes some of the YouTubers that she watch are gymnasts, and so like you see how much more they practice, and like I'll just mention it to her, like, oh, like if it's something that she can't do, I'll say, oh, that's because they practice way more hours a day than what you are, and that's fine that you don't want to practice that much because I know you still enjoy playing with your toys and doing other things, but just understand that could be the difference, and it's just consistency. Like they've consistently been practicing for hours and hours, and they practice every day. Yeah. And sometimes I always wonder, like, does that mean she doesn't love it as much as they do? But honestly, like, does it really matter? They could love it, and then they could wake up one day and say, that was fun, and now I'm over it. So does it really make a difference if she loves it at 5 and loves it for 10 years versus liking it now and then still doing it for 10, 15 years? Who knows? It's just interesting. Like, but it's also to Leon's point of like, she's constantly doing things and you want to be like worried. I've had to switch my mindset to the fact that I am the parent of a gymnast.
Yeah, same.
And so the expectations of what she's going to do, what she's going to try kind of changes because you understand that she probably has that mindset when she's doing certain things, and it's not just her trying to be annoying or
and she
irritating us.
Doesn't hurt herself. So that's why I have to give her grace. She barely like falls or trips or anything. Like she hurts herself doing regular stuff. So when she do her gymnastic stuff, and that's why I had to just kind of let her go. Like people like, oh my God, I'm like, okay. Charger.
Oh.
She's amazing at it, and that's why I just let her go. I watch her, but it's like I'm not going to watch too much because it's scary.
I think she actually hurts herself more doing normal things.
That's what I said. That's exactly
like she fell the other day, and I felt bad that I actually wanted to laugh a little bit because I had just never heard her say it. Typically, she falls and she's like, "I'm okay."
Oh yes.
And then the other day, she was like, "I'm not okay," and I like felt bad, but I also like wanted to laugh so hard. But she fell because she was doing gymnastics, but she was trying to stop doing gymnastics to come follow me. And so she went to like jump down to follow me, and she hurt herself. She had
a stool on top of another mat.
On top of a foam mat.
So like it was just a recipe for disaster. Normally she figures it out. Like normally Magic, like, I'm not going to fall, Daddy. I'm not going to fall.
She still figured it out. She just figured it out in a way that hurt her body or her feelings.
And she definitely said, I'm not okay. I'm like, oh,
I'm not
we gotta
okay.
Look at this one.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is the first time I've heard her say that. Yep. All right, let's get into today's topic. So I actually put a poll up on Instagram, and I was asking people if they knew we had a podcast, what would they expect us to talk about or want to hear us talk about? And I actually realized from that poll that on this platform, in this form of content that we create, we have never shared the story of how we met and fell in love and how we have gotten to where we are, which is like 10 years together. Is it 10 years together? I'm always off. I think, is it 8 years married, 9 years together?
We met at the end of 13. Met at the end of 13, 14.
Yeah, we got married in 2014.
No, we met at the end of 12. Oh, yeah, so this is 10 years now. Yeah, this is the 10th year.
Of us being together.
Yeah, just us dating, yeah.
So we've been together for 10 years. We met back in end of 2012. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, the interesting part is that we went to the same church for years, probably at that point, and never
crossed paths.
Never crossed paths or given each other a second thought. It was just, it was what it was. Leon likes to tell a story that I slid into his DMs But before I slid into his DMs, we met at an event for people who were interested in starting nonprofits. And Leon served on the board for a nonprofit. So he was at this event. I was in attendance because I used to have a nonprofit. And I don't know if it was a conversation. What?
It's part of the story.
You don't know this part of the story. I don't know if it was something I heard somebody say, if it was a conversation that we had, but I've learned at that event that he was good with computers. And I was like, this is somebody that I need to like have in my back pocket because I am not. And we met in the spring.
Look, that was 2011 you met me.
That event was in the spring though, right?
It was like March. Yeah. That's spring. I vaguely, like when we talked about it, I think I've tried to remember. I think you did pull me to the side to have a conversation with you, but I wasn't paying attention to you. It was like, oh shoot, another computer I gotta fix.
But I don't even think I asked you about my computer at that point. I think I was just like, oh, like, let me get your information. Or I was like, oh, I should follow him on like Facebook or something. And then I ended up actually, he accepted my friend request. So I wasn't really sliding in somebody's DMs because we were actually friends on Facebook. But then that winter, my computer had a virus and I needed it to be fixed. And so voila, that is why I was in Leon's DMs, as he likes to say, because I needed my computer fixed, and that was what he did. And so he fixed my computer. But when Leon fixed my computer, he decided that was his opportunity to somehow need my phone number. Like, you know, being in his DMs wasn't a problem. But once the computer was actually fixed and I just needed him to hand it to me, that's when he needed my phone number.
I needed it because at that time I would leave out of the church early to do something. And I would be in another section of the church. And it's our old church. No, our old church was big. So I said, hey, let me text you because Facebook was trash. Sorry, Facebook was trash. Leave that out. Facebook was trash. So I was like, let me text you. I think I was like half and half because I was just like, oh, I got a number. But it was just like, no, this is business. And then like the next day was like, well, not next day, it was a couple days later. It was like, that's Christmas or...
It was a couple weeks later.
Damn, it was weeks?
Yeah.
You think it was weeks?
First of all, he was like, he said to me, maybe I don't know. It was somewhere between days and weeks. To me, it felt like weeks because he said to me, oh, the computer is in the trunk of the car. How about I text you when I can get to the car to get it? And of course I was like, okay, because what else am I going to do? You have my computer. I can't make you go get it out of the car. But then, I mean, I had to come back to second service, which like typically I did, but I can't remember that day if I was planning on it or not. Anyway, but so then Leon used my number to text me to say Merry Christmas. And I remember...
I was late with Christmas, so I had to say it on the 26th.
Yeah, it was the day after Christmas. And I forget what I even said to you back.
Like I was tired, I was asleep. I didn't realize you worked night shift. So, like, I think you might have texted me back later. I don't know. I was texting because it was business.
I remember you saying this to me before.
I was like, you know, just being
good customer service.
Yeah, just being courteous because, like, hey, you need a computer, come back to see me.
As a customer, Merry Christmas.
And I don't know, the conversation just went from there.
Yeah, it went from there. And then, like, he kind of trusted me with, like, a secret, like, right off the bat, which... I don't know.
Oh, because that was a weird time because I had just had surgery. I had a lipoma removed and I had bulbs on me, and this was the first time in a long time I was on bed rest. Mm-hmm. So I was on bed rest for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And a nigga was lonely.
And you shared that with me that like, oh, people didn't know, like that's why you haven't been around, and that's why you weren't like I think at like New Year's service or something.
Yeah, or Christmas service.
And
I wouldn't be at New Year's. I was at Christmas service. Yeah. I wouldn't be at New Year's. And you, I think, was off.
Yeah, and so I worked night shift at the time, and he was up at these weird hours because he was on bed rest, and we just talked some more, and then I went to South Carolina to at the time my dad had cancer, and he was having surgery done, and so we had decided to be supportive and drive down. Me and my siblings were being supportive, and we were driving down to go be with him. Just to, I don't know, olive branch, I guess. I don't know. But Leon like kept in touch with me most of the trip, because at that time
the signal when you got on the island,
signal was terrible on the island my family lives on. So it would be like we could only talk once we came off the island. But when I was off the island was when I was like at the hospital. But yeah, and we kind of really became friends at that point. And then he wanted to FaceTime me. And I still do. I think FaceTiming is a very intimate thing. And I was kind of very much like, I guess I don't know if I sounded old then.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
But it was like I don't FaceTime people. Like,
brand new, let's get it in.
That's weird. Like, that feels intimate. Like, you're going to be in my home. And I still feel like that to this day. But I did FaceTime him. And we just kind of clicked.
Yeah.
And we've been talking ever since then. I will say we were very like, at least I was intentional about the kind of things, because it was so new to me to have a friend that was a male who was just a friend. I was like, I don't want to mess this up. I don't want to ruin this. So like, let's be sure we're on the same page and we want the same things before we like take this too far, because I feel like sometimes you cross those lines and then you like can't go back.
Yeah.
But we had our first date, which was technically, it wasn't on Valentine's Day, but it was around Valentine's Day. Our first date, he came to my house and I made him dinner. And Leon will never let me forget that date because he remembers everything that I made.
Lamb, sweet potato casserole, vegetable medley. Was it? Oh no, it was a heart-shaped red velvet cake, because I used to love red velvet cake.
And on his way out, he almost fell, and he thought it made sense to say,
"I'm falling for you." I already fell for you, because back then I was super crip back then, so I was a lot less mobile in my chair, a lot less limber. And it was like a little big step, so paratransit would have to. We came into a garage basement, so it would have to bump me over, stepping then down into the basement. So yeah, I kind of like fell out my chair, and I was like, "Look, she got me falling for her already." I say cheesy stuff.
It was cute,
and she used to hate cheesy stuff.
It was cute. It was cute. It was just like, in the moment, I was so stressed out because I had never dealt with this before. So like, I felt terrible that he was falling, and I was trying to make sure, like, because at that time I didn't know what to do if he would have fell. I didn't know how much it was going to like hurt you, or like, what do you do? Call 911?
I never told you the story. I've fallen off a paratransit lift, like fell down into the street. Like, I'm good. I have like literally fallen in the midair.
But that night, I think we like didn't come with a good plan. Like, we probably should have backed you out versus you going forward.
Oh yeah, I think we learned after that. Yeah,
I think at that time, paratransit wasn't supposed to help you because you were technically still in the house.
Yeah,
they're only supposed to help you outside the house.
But I think that was my homie though. I had a friend, like a guy that I had a same regular driver. Yeah, so I think that's why.
Yeah, so that's how we met, and so that was February. We got engaged that following New Year's Day. My family has a family brunch, and we were at the family brunch, and Leon got on one knee. Two knees. He got on his knees and he proposed, and that was January 1st, and we got married that September 5th. 2 days before my birthday. And the reason why we got married 2 days before my birthday was because we won a free wedding, and they wanted to do it quickly. And that was the time off that I already had scheduled, and I didn't have enough time to request more time off in order for like the free wedding part to work out. So because I was already off, we got married 2 days before my birthday. But then we got to have an all-white weekend. We got married on a Friday. Mm-hmm. We had a second reception on Saturday, and then my birthday was Sunday. And then we went to Vegas for our honeymoon. Yeah. And so once we became newlyweds, we spent those first couple years enjoying each other, and then also trying to figure out how to get pregnant. which may just be a whole nother episode, but we spent a good, year? 2 years?
Figured it out?
Yeah.
Oh, it's been like a year because I had told her, I'm like, don't talk to me about no kid for 2 years. I don't want to hear about a baby for 2 years. Because then after that, maybe I'll be open.
But the other thing about Leon and I is that I am 7 years older than Leon. And that comes into play. Mm-hmm. In a lot of different ways, actually. Not a lot, but there's a few. It actually makes life fun. It's actually one of the things I liked about him was that I guess what was probably him just being younger was like him being vibrant and fun and like reminding me like let my hair down and laugh a little and, you know, not be so stressed and tense and serious all the time. I still am.
And I'm still the funny guy.
But not as much, I think. I mean, you also didn't know me that long before we dated to know like how different I kind of am now to who I was before you. But yeah, so 7-year age gap comes into play. He wants to wait 2 years to get married. I am thinking that we're going to have more than one kid. So I want to allow us time to do that before I hit that like geriatric pregnancy age. So we spent some time figuring out how to get pregnant.
I went to a super urologist.
We went to super specialists, like to the point where it was like, this may not happen for us. And like, that's okay too. But then we figured it out.
Another episode, if ever needed, if there's anybody in our SCI community or maybe even anybody in the disabled community, there are scientists and doctors who have different ways to do it. Unfortunately, most of the ways didn't do work for me. I was not into the cow prod in my butt, like the electrode thing. I didn't want to do that. That was like, I think my last resort because we had tried like all kinds of stuff. $500 vibrator. Stuck needles in my penis, bro. It's weird. But yeah, there's all kinds of ways. So you don't have to be discouraged. We did IVF.
Yeah.
But that was easier.
And it's interesting because like after I joined the WAGS community, which is Wives and Girlfriends of Spinal Cord Injuries. If anybody listening and is one and interested in joining the community of women that are supporting their spouses who are wheelchair users or spinal cord injuries. I found them after we went through this whole thing. And I had a moment where I was like, wow, I wonder if we like really needed to do all of that because I think there were things we didn't try. Mm-hmm. That I was curious if we could have gotten pregnant that way. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like, listen, that money already spent, that we done went through this whole thing already. It is what it is. Like, it's no point of the wondering and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But yeah, we ended up doing one round of IVF. So that was a stressful year of figuring all of those things out financially, trying to figure out if we qualify for studies, lots of appointments. Procedures that we thought we needed that ended up like not being needed because I had fibroids, so that was a factor as well. Mm-hmm. And then like trying to bucket list as much as we could before we became parents, like trying not to let our relationship become just trying to get pregnant. We were trying to figure out how to have fun in the midst of trying to get pregnant. So we were trying to like, what kind of fun things do we want to do before we like go through all of this? Yeah. So then we end up pregnant. Perfectly pregnant, one round of IVF. And then we had a year of pregnancy, which was up and down, but not too bad for the most part. And then we became parents. And we enjoyed parenting. I went back to work. Leon was a stay-at-home dad. Then we moved. We decided to leave Philly, leave our condo.
You didn't have to do nothing. Everybody came and fixed everything for you.
Yeah, we had elevators. We had front door service, gated community, so to speak. It wasn't really. We had garage parking. Yes, it was so nice. I loved our condo, but then we decided we should get more space and give our kid a house in the backyard, and so we moved to Delaware. Yep. And then the pandemic happened. Then we were parenting, and I was working on the front lines, and we were doing it all and with more space. Which was perfect timing to be able to give her space in a backyard when there was nowhere else to go. And then this is how we ended up here. During the pandemic started, we thought people would be interested in hearing our stories.
Yeah.
We wanted to keep people encouraged. We wanted to keep people hopeful during a time that was really hard. People thought that our lives were interesting and they wanted to know more about it. And so we started our YouTube channel. The pandemic started in March? I think we started our YouTube channel in like April, May-ish.
We literally filmed we was out right when the pandemic was starting, right when they was shutting down. We was celebrating my birthday.
Celebrating his birthday. One last trip.
In Lowe's, Delaware, and literally everything was like eerie.
It was becoming like eerie ghost town.
We went out to eat. We was like, is it safe?
Yeah, we had fun though.
Yeah, that was a nice
Thank
trip.
God we did have that one last fun trip before everything changed. And yeah, we started our YouTube channel and we kind of used to just sit and talk because there was nowhere to go. So we just was giving backstories on so many things. So that's another way that you can kind of learn more about us if you want to see some of those older episodes. But if you want to hear it on the podcast forum, we are totally fine with resharing some of those stories, which includes like if you want to know what our IVF journey was like, we can talk about that. If you want to know what my natural birthing story was like, that's another fun story to hear.
Totally
if you want to hear more about, Leon has dealt with osteomyelitis, which was a big part of
the pandemic.
The pandemic for us was him being sick. So yeah, postpartum depression we have gone through.
Pressure sores.
Yeah.
Thank God we have never gone through nothing major with our daughter.
Thank God.
Nothing. None of the things. Barely any hospital visits. Never any hospital visits. She's been sick a couple times, but never hospital visit. We've had a good life with her. Everything with her has been. Sometimes the parenting is rough, but the regular things parents go through, like outside of parenting, we haven't had to deal with.
Yeah,
a lot of things.
We are eventually going to do an episode on parenting differently and what that looks like for us and what that journey has been like for us and why we decide to parent differently. But yeah, that's just a little bit about our background. If you didn't know, is there anything we missed? Anything?
I mean, there's stories in between, but no, that's the general. That's the
gist of it.
High level view.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
So thank you guys for joining us for today's podcast. This is a bi-weekly podcast, so we will be back in 2 weeks. We hope that you guys enjoy this content. If you are listening, please rate us.
Yes.
That would be greatly appreciated. If you're watching, thanks for watching, guys. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.